Hi everyone, good evening. Hi, I don't know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, just say you can hear me in the chat. Thank you all for coming. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, people can hear me. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming, from taking time from your Friday for coming to this class. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes, so because a ton of people registered, so, so more people can come in. Let's just give it another, let's say 4 minutes-ish. Our facilitator for today, Mouhja, will also be joining us in a second. Yeah, thank you all so much for coming. Hi, everyone. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for coming. We're waiting because a ton of people registered. We're waiting for a couple of people to come in. We're starting in about, 2, 3 minutes, or let's just say 6:10. Yes, so that everyone can come in. And we'll get started. Our facilitator for today will also be joining us in a second, and we'll get started. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Hi. I think you're on mute. So we might not be able to
Hi.
hear.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry. I didn't. This is kind of like a webinar style. Okay, awesome.
Yes. Yes. So everyone, Mouhja, this is your class. My name is Ugochukwu. I work with the team at Bamboo. Mouhja is our facilitator today. She's graciously agreed, to take us through the 4 Ds of investing. So in a second, I'm going to disappear. Theoretically, I'll still be in the background. Amusha is going to start. So just some house rules. If you want to ask a question, and we do encourage questions, please use the Q&A button on your screens, not the chat, so that it's easier for us to track everything. So just use the Q&A button on your screen, and maybe, I don't know, Musha, we can take everything when you are done, or you can, if you want to take it as you go along. We'll try and get to as many as we possibly can. I hope everyone is going to take notes. Let's learn something today. Yeah. So over to you.
Hi. Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. This is my absolute passion. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my screen with you guys. I do have some slides because why not, right? Okay. So let's see. Let me just make that bigger. Can you guys, Ugo, can you see that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes, we
beautiful.
can.
I'm just gonna make it a big screen. But yeah, so my name is Mouhja. I'm super excited to be here. I am a licensed advisor. And this is my passion. I love finance. I remember, back before I would just finished high school and I'm trying to think of post-secondary, like, what am I gonna do for a career? I don't know. But I knew a few things, like I loved people and I loved money. So you know what I did? I put them together and I created finance. And so it's been a blessing ever since then. And I've had the pleasure of working with many clients and teaching many different classes and developing people in this industry, and I love that. So okay, yes, absolutely, I can share the slide after the webinar. So yeah, so you know what, not only do I get to play the money, learn the money game, as I'm sure you all agree that it's very beneficial, in especially in today's world, to understand the money game. But not only that, I get to work with all kinds of people. You could agree with me that money you can take everywhere, and especially finance. Every single industry has to go through the financial services, um, all of them. So we're here and we're just never financial services. It's huge. Okay. And so, okay. So just like Ugo said, we're going to, if you guys do, it's kind of like a letter and question as well. So if you guys do have a question, please go ahead, raise your hand, and I will do my best to kind of like answer it. I don't want you guys to wait until the end just because, you might forget it, and I don't want you guys to forget it. So please go ahead and way. Okay, so let's get into the first slide. Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, first slide. Okay, so we're going to go through a few topics here. And the first one we're going to talk about is, before we even think about investing or what type of investments or anything like that, we want to understand money. Money is an exchange of energy, essentially. So what happened back in the day, what happened was, you would go to somebody's house and you would, like, they would cook you dinner, and then you would wash the dishes. That was an exchange of energy. Okay, and so someone really got tired and they're like, I don't want to wash the dishes, right? And so thus they gave them money. Okay, it's an exchange of energy. So that money can now, they could use it for whatever they want, right? And so it brings me to this slide. Money is useless unless it is circulated. Okay, so what does that mean? If money is sitting there, it's absolutely useless. And it's kind of like a good story to kind of explain this. It's like if we had a child, right? And let's say we told this child, like, hey, every time you do a chore, we're gonna put in $5 into a jar. Okay. And every time you do a chore, we're gonna put $5 into this jar. And at the end of the month, this child can take the jar and go and spend on whatever this child wants, whether that be chocolate or toys or whatever, right? But here's the thing, that that jar is, all that money is being put in there. While that money is sitting there, it's useless. It has no value until that child takes that money and now is going to every single store and purchasing whatever that child wants, right? That money is now being used. Now that child got something for that money, right? Money is meant to be circulated, right? And so it's like, now that child went and purchased something, and that money is going to go to the wages of that employee, and that employee is going to go purchase something else, and it's meant to be circulated. Another good example is kind of like, it's like, let's say there was a man, and he lived in this house, and it was a little bit broken down, and he didn't live the best life, right? But then he passed away. And what happened was, they went over to his home to kind of like go through his stuff, right? Because he passed away. And so what they had found was $100,000 everywhere, just stashed into a bunch of different things. Okay. And yeah, sorry. I'm just looking at the questions. They found $100,000 in cash all over the house. Okay, so this man actually lived like a pauper, right? He could have his home. He could have purchased new clothes. He could have gone traveling. Okay, he could have done a lot of things, but instead he left the money inside of his home. It wasn't earning interest. It wasn't being circulated. It wasn't getting anything, right? He wasn't using it for anything. It was sitting there in that home, useless, absolutely useless. Okay. Eh, all right. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So if I were to ask you guys, if you want to, if we're building a house, obviously we want a strong foundation. Now, that's the same thing when we're building a financial house. Okay, when we're looking at our financial situation, we want to have a strong financial house. Okay, and these are essential to having a strong foundation. Okay, and the first one is the cash flow. We want to make sure that we are in a positive cash flow. Okay, so we want to make sure that we get really good at managing our expenses, that we don't live above our means. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're in that positive cash flow. Then there's management. Now, we want to make sure that we get really good at managing our debt, because you know what? If we can't manage our debt, we can't really manage anything. And if that means eliminating or consolidating it, yes, exactly. Okay, so we want to make sure that that's taken care of. And then, of course, we have the emergency fund. Now, you want to make sure that you're in a position that you have 6 months worth of expenses already saved up, or just in case, right? We just in case, like let's say we have a really big expense that just came up. It's random. Our car broke down. Right? We don't want to go onto credit cards. We don't want to use that. We want to make sure that we have a nice emergency fund just in case. We can pay it off cash. We don't have to go into our savings, right? We have that emergency fund specifically for these emergencies. Okay. As for the fourth pillar is proper protection. Okay, so you know what? We can have a good cash flow, we can have no debt, and we can have a good emergency fund. But you know what? If we don't take care of the main breadwinner, if we don't have proper protection, like in the form of life insurance, then it's a house. Then we don't know. We have no idea, right? Because a lot of people, if I were to ask you, what's your biggest asset? A lot of people are going to tell me their cars, their house, but it's not. It's none of that. It's actually you. It's your ability to, okay? Because if it wasn't for you with that income, that you wouldn't have the home, you wouldn't have the car, right? So invest in yourself. You are your biggest asset. Okay? Then there's asset accumulation. Hey, this is where you guys work hard for your money. Your money should work hard for you. Okay. And so with asset accumulation, it kind of goes back to money is useless unless it is circulated. Okay, we want to make sure that our money is earning an interest. It's earning, it's outpacing inflation. So inflation is like the cost of living is going up 2% every single year, right? Right? It's in to kind of explain that as like 20 years ago, milk was like, like 50 cents, and now it's like $5. And then in like 20 years, it'll be like 10, 20, I don't know. I don't want to think about it. But yeah, this is where we want to make sure that our money is growing, but we want to make sure that it's also growing faster than inflation. So if it's growing by 2%, we want to make sure that our money is doing just over, okay? Because otherwise, we're just losing value. Then there's estate preservation. Now, you guys are probably haven't thought too much about this, but we have a really ability to make sure that our money goes down to who we want it to. Okay? So, if I were to ask you guys, to give me a list of the top 5 you would want to leave your legacy to, where would the government fall on that list? Yeah, they wouldn't. Exactly. Yeah, so we have a gigantic responsibility to make sure that our wealth, our legacy, our everything goes down to our family, to who we want it to. Okay? So yeah. The next slide. Okay? So this is very important. A lot of people don't know that. But if I were to ask you, what is your financial independence number? Would you know the answer to that? Yeah, majority of people don't really know what this is. And your financial independence number, it's that big bag of money that you're going to need come retirement. Okay, so we are all really, really good at the accumulation phase, where we save, 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 right? We try to go from point A and we try to get to point B. But what really ends up happening is, we go up, down, up, down, up, down, and we never really get there, right? Because we keep going into our savings, paying for that expense. So what we want to do is we want to set it and forget it. Then there's a distribution phase. And it's when it's time to take our money out, how much of it are we really getting? Right? Are we keeping most of our money? Is a lot of the money going to taxes? We want to make sure that all of this we understand. Okay? We just want to make sure that understand all the knowledge behind it, because there's a lot of accounts that you're going to put your money in $100, right? But it's 100% taxed, right? So when you take it out, it's not going to be $100. So we want to make sure that we know exactly what we're putting our money into. Again, we work hard for our money. Our money should be working hard for us. Okay. So yeah, your financial number is essentially how much money would you like to live on a monthly basis in retirement? Would you want to live on what you're making now or make more? Right? So, and there's a way to actually back engineer that. And if you guys do want to know what your financial independence number, please reach out to me. We actually have software that takes account inflation and all of that and how many years in retirement. But please reach out to me. I'll give you my contact information at the end. But I love giving people their financial independence number just because you kind of know what number you're striving for. Okay, so like, okay, I would like to retire by the age of 65. How much money do I need to start saving on a monthly basis in order to reach that? Okay. And then there's a transfer phase, right? And that is basically, so if anything were to happen to us, where does our money go? Does it go to our family? Does it get locked up in probate? We want to make sure that we know exactly where it's going after we pass away. Okay, so these are all very, very important questions that need to be answered now, not tomorrow, not next year, not in 10 years, now. Okay, because as you guys can see with COVID, we have no idea what tomorrow brings. We have no idea. So it's really important that we are prepared now. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just reading this question. Retire on 5,000 monthly, even active work period 3,000 monthly has not been achieved. Can an explanation be done? I'm not really sure what that's kind of asking. I will come back to you. Okay, Why and what? Before considering any type of investments, we want to know, why are you investing, right? Here's the thing. Are you a long-term investor? Are you a short-term investor? It's yeah. So so are you want to determine what kind of investor are you? Okay, so are you investing for retirement? Are you investing for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Or are you investing 1 year, 2 years, right? And that's big, because obviously if we're investing, let's say we want to purchase a home in 1 to 2 years, okay, and we put it into the market. By the way, we can't time the market. We can't. No one can time the. Okay, so let's say we're purchasing a home in 1 to 2 years and we have, let's say, $10,000. We don't want to put this $10,000 in something super volatile. Volatile is like this, up, down, up, down. We're probably going to have a heart attack if we do that, because you know what? Once we get to that 1 to 2 years and we want to purchase our home, what happens when the markets are down? We can't take our money out, otherwise that's going to be a loss. Okay, so we want to make sure that we know exactly what we're investing in, right? So if we're investing for a long term, so like 10, 20, 30 years, right, the market has time to go back up. Okay, and the markets always go back up. The last 6 the markets have done 9%, 60 years, right? So if you're investing for long term, it's you could probably go into something a little bit more risky, right? Of course, depending on your risk tolerance. And that is my next point. The next point is, what is your risk tolerance, right? Are you conservative? Are you moderate? Are you right in the middle? Are you super risky? Are you super aggressive? These are all questions that we want to ask ourselves and determine before we even think about what kind of investments that we're going to go into. Okay. So obviously, if you're super like right in the middle, you don't want to be in something that goes like this, like you're gonna like have a heart attack. I know that because I remember when I first started to invest, and it was just this, and I checked my money every single day, and it was just like this, and I would be happy, and then I'd be low, and then I'd be happy, and then you know what? Just don't watch it. But you have to understand that up eventually. Okay, especially if you're investing for long term. Okay, so let's see. Next slide. How do I go next? Okay, yeah, so what I want to do also, I kind of want to show you like what kind of questions. I do a lot of risk questionnaires with clients, just to kind of understand, get a good picture of what kind of investor they are. Okay, so like, are they super risky? Are they super conservative? Are they right in the middle? I want to make sure, if someone is not, they don't like risk at all, I'm not going to put them in something risky. Otherwise, they're going to be calling me every single day, like, my money is down. I don't know, right? So these questions really help me to determine what kind of investments I'm going to be putting them in. So I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of a preview. Okay, so like here, the first question is the time horizon. Okay, so short-term investors, well, it really depends what your goal is. Are you looking for growth? Are you looking for capital preservation? Right? It really just depends on that. Yeah. So the first question is, how old are you? Obviously, if someone is between the ages of 65 and 70, you don't want to put them anywhere near anything risky, because you know what, they got to be retired. They are in retirement essentially, and they need that money just beating inflation, right? So if somebody is between the ages of 18 and 40, they got a lot of time. They got a lot of time. So as you can see on the side, it gives me like points, and then I add the total, and it kind of gives me a little bit of a profile that I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. But look at this: is, when do you plan to withdraw at least 25% of your savings, right? Because if you're planning to take this out in the next 1 to 2, 3 years, or even 5 years. If you're sure you're investing for less than, I would say less than 3 years, you probably don't want to go into something super risky unless you're okay with waiting once you get to that point, right? And here, this next question is indicate your level of tolerance towards risk, right? I want to know, how do you feel about risk? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Right? And very low would be like, I don't like the idea of risking my money. I don't like this at all. Medium, more moderate, would be like, I'm prepared to tolerate a short term drop, 5 to 10%. Because they're kind of investing for the long term, right? And then, or are they, are they very high? I hope to achieve long term growth. A short term drop of 20% doesn't even phase me, not at all. Then, that person can probably go into something like a growth profile or something even aggressive, right? It really depends what the total is on this. And as down here, there's kind of little bit of a scenario. Okay, so if and this is what I ask my clients, like, hey, listen, if you're investing $10,000 for 1 year, okay, we're only investing this for 1 year. Where would you be most comfortable? Which situation would you be most comfortable in? So very low for somebody that does not like risk. They're just like, I want 10,000. I'm going to put 10,000 in. I don't want it to go any lower than that, but I'm okay if it goes up to 10,300. Obviously, you guys can see it's not that much of a growth, but they're not losing any money, right? And this is a perfect place to put somebody that's about to go into retirement. And then let's say right at the middle, they're okay if that 10,000 drops to 9, if that means it goes up to 11,500. Okay, so again, very important to make sure that we understand where the comfortability is. Okay, because we are emotional creatures. Okay, as for something like super, like more aggressive, more long term, Euro goes down to 8,000. So I think it's, yeah, so somebody that's super risky, they can go down to 8,000. If they're okay, if it goes down to 12,500, then they're probably a little bit more, they're not too worried about risk. Okay, and so I take all of this, and there's like about 10 questions or so, but these are the most important I find. And then I get the result. Okay, so the result is on right here, and it kind of gives me a profile. What are they kind of looking for? So if we're looking at somebody with that's a little bit more, I would say, conservative, they don't really like risk, there would be a prudent profile. So that would 65, a lot of it is more like income, and very little is equity. So like stocks and something like super like crazy. Income is like bonds and whichever. So essentially what the point of this prudent profile is to preserve capital. Okay, so it's like if I put in $100,000, I want to make sure that $100,000 does, I do want it to grow and keep up with inflation, but I don't want it to go lower than 100, or sorry, I can't remember the number I said. Let's say it was 10,000. 10,000. They don't want it to go any lower than that, but they want to make sure it keeps up with inflation. Okay? And then there's the moderate profile. They want growth, but they're a little bit hesitant, they're a little bit scared, and that's okay. That's okay. Put your feet in the water, test it out. That's completely okay. Okay. And so what that is, it's a little bit of equity, it's a little bit of income. So you'll see the growth, and roughly with a moderate profile, we're looking at about a 6 to 7% rate of return. Okay. And then there's those people in the growth profile and then the aggressive profile. You're looking at over 12% kind of rate of return. But again, with these ones, they're like this, right? And so, especially with COVID, when in March, where the market just hit the ground, right? A lot of people, we as human beings are very emotional creatures. A lot of people cashed out. They're just like, I can't do this. Listen, that loss is only hypothetical. It's only hypothetical. So if you cashed it out, then you lost. However, if you stayed in there, it would have gone back up. The markets are back up, right? So I love when the markets are down. Everything is on sale. Are you kidding me? I bought more, right? Okay, the 4 Ds to investing. Let's start. So the 4 Ds to investing: duration, diversification, discipline, and dollar cost averaging. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on them. Okay, so let's go to the first one is duration. We just chatted about this. How long are we investing for? Is it long term? Is it short term? That will really determine which investments that we're going to be going into. Okay, and it's the same example that I used a little bit earlier about, like, let's say we're investing, we want to purchase a home, a house in a few years. Okay, now if we put into something like that's aggressive, we put it into the market, into something a little bit like, let's even growth, or even in the middle, like moderate, right? What if the markets are down when we go to take out that money for that house? We're just going to cash in a loss, and we don't want to do that. Okay, so if we're going for that house, we want to go into something that's, you know, the money is growing, right? Because we don't want to leave it there, because then it's useless. We want to make growing, at least getting an interest, a rate of return, right? And yeah, so we want to make sure it's at least growing. But when we go to access that money is it doesn't determine crazy amounts on the market, right? So something like I can't really talk about too much about what kinds of investments, because it's all very different. But yeah, then there's the long, right? And let's say we're investing for 10, 20, 30 years, right? It's okay if the market's like, let's say we invested 2 years ago and now it's COVID and the market's just hit. We're not really too worried, because we know we're investing for the long term, right? And guess what? Over time, the market always goes back up, right? The last 60 years, the markets has done 9%, right? So okay, so that's duration. Then there's diversification. We do not want to put all of our money in one basket. Okay, we don't want to do that. You guys work hard for your money. I work hard for my money. I don't want to lose it. Okay, and obviously, we don't want to put it in one. And a really good analogy that I love to use in this sense is an elevator. Okay, so if you look at that left rectangle thing, so it's that line on top of it is an elevator cable. Okay, so let's say we put our investments in one basket. It's kind of like an elevator cable. If I ask you what happens when that elevator cable snaps, are you worried? Are you scared? I would be. I'd be terrified. I might die, right? You're going to hit the ground, right? And you may lose all of your money, right? And then you take a look at the middle one, right? That one has 3 cables. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's 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 what if one of the cables snapped? Just one of them. Would you be worried? Maybe a little bit, right? Would you notice? A little bit. Yeah, you'll kind of like tilt a little bit, right? You'll feel it. You're not gonna die, but you'll feel it. And that again, it's the same thing as diversification. What if we were in 3 different types of investments, right? This one went down, this one went back up, or you'll feel it, but nothing, right? But then you look at the far right, okay? And that one has 6 cables. What if one of them snapped? Are you worried? Not really. I mean, it's not like you're gonna hit the ground, right? And would you be scared? Would you feel it? You might, maybe, not really, to be honest, right? There's 6 of them. You might be that, but that was it. It's almost like a mosquito bite. Like, what is that, right? So that's diversification. We want to make sure that our money is in different things, right? We want to make sure that we're investing. To be honest, I invest long term, short term. I invest for literally in every single way, right? Just because I don't like to put my money in one place, right? I have for me, my investments, some of them are right in the middle, and some of them are extremely aggressive, right? Because I know, and I've invested, the aggressive one is for long term. As for the moderate one, I want to make sure that if I do get to retirement, I want to make sure that I didn't lose all my money, right? So I have two different kind of sets, right? And then I have that's kind of short term that I don't want to lose, that's sitting there that maybe I do want to purchase a home in the next few years, right? So that's diversification. Now, discipline. Okay, so discipline is all about mindset. Okay, I remember your goals and objectives. You want to know why you're investing, right? Like, and a really good example. It's like, how well, how well can you sit with your emotions screaming at you, right? That is discipline. Okay, like if unless you cash it in, the loss is hypothetical. Okay? So, and the markets always goes back up. And a lot of people, I guess, there's a lot of talk, buy low, sell high, right? That's simple to understand, but we as human beings complicate that, right? We complicate it because we're emotional, right? We're sometimes we get a heart attack when our money is really low, right? So we want to make sure that we're disciplined. We make sure that we remember our goals, we remember our objectives, and if it's low today, hey, tomorrow it could be high. Okay, nobody can time the market, but you can be disciplined and follow through that you're going to do. Okay, so that's discipline. Okay, this next one is called dollar cost averaging. Okay, so this one is a gem. This is gold. This is a golden nugget. Okay, purchasing at different times of the market. Okay, I'm kind of give you a little bit of an example, a lump sum, and something that purchasing at every 2 weeks. Let's say we're gonna put some money every 2 weeks. How does that look like, right? So for this example, I'm really visual, so I kind of gave you guys a chart. I hope you guys can understand it, but roughly let's take a look at the way. Okay, and that's like a lump sum. So let's say we had $1,500 and we throw it all in today, like right now. We put it in right now, right? We're gonna catch the price at today's price. That's it, right? And we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna hope that this whatever we got go higher than what we bought it for, right? Buy low, sell high, right? You can't time the market. Don't tell me that, oh, I'm waiting for it to go low. Don't tell me that. No, you can't time it. It doesn't work like that. Okay? So we purchase it today. Okay, let's say 1500. We have $1,500 and we're gonna purchase it in today. Okay, let's say bought it at $30. $30. Okay. How many shares can we purchase with $1,500 at $30 a share? Okay. That would give us 50 shares. 50. Okay. So, okay, now we have 50 shares, and now we want to make sure, in order for us to make money, we want this $30 to, this whatever we bought to go above $30. Okay. So let's put that aside and take a look at investing every 2 weeks into the market. Every little bit. Okay. We're not going to put all the 1500 in, but let's say we put in, let's say 300 every 2 weeks. Okay. So the first week, okay, let's say we bought it, okay, and we put in $300 today. We would have purchased only 10 shares. Well, that doesn't seem like much when we're looking at 50 shares if we were to put in all of the money. Okay. But let's say we're going to put in another 300 in 2 weeks. Okay. Oh, but it dropped. Now it's $10. It's $10 per share. How many shares can we buy now? Oh, we can buy more? Take a look at this. Now we can purchase 30 shares. 30 shares. Okay. Now we have 40 shares. Okay. That's still not as much as the lump sum, right? Okay. How about in another 2 weeks, put in another $300? Okay. Well, I wonder what the price is. Oh, it's $20. Okay. We're going to purchase 15 more shares. Okay. And likewise, in 2 weeks, now it's $15 and we're going to purchase 20 shares. But let's say it went back up 2 weeks from then, and it went back up to 25. Now we can purchase 12 shares, okay? But here in the end, using this method, now we have 87 shares. That's more for the same amount of money, but it's more shares. So if you take a look at it, let's say it went up to 35, okay? So if you go 50 times 35, that's 1750. So we would have made $250 the first way, right? The first way. Then if we were to do, let's say the 300, we have 87 shares. And if we were to time that by 35, that's $3,045. Yeah, we would have made almost 1,500 bucks. Wait, that is more than 1,500 bucks. So roughly about 1545. We doubled. Did we not just double our money? That is the power of dollar cost averaging. We want to purchase at all different points of the market. Okay. Okay. This, we're going to change gears a little bit. This next one is the rule of 72. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I'm just reading the question. Sorry. It just up every once in a while. Okay. Shortest time frame for an investment? It really depends what your intention is. What are you looking for? Are you looking to preserve your capital? Are you looking for growth? If you're looking for growth, you probably want to invest over and depending what kind of growth you're looking for as well, right? And of course, we can't time the market. So you could invest for as long, you could invest for one day if you would like, right? It really depends on what your intention is and what your goals are. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just reading some questions. Okay, on the issue of the dollar cost averaging, based on the example you gave, would it have made more sense to put in the remaining 1,200 once the shares dropped from 30 to 10? Yeah, you could do that, but like I said, we can't time the market. What if it dropped even lower, right? So, and here's the thing, we don't want to time the market. We're just going to put in every 2 weeks, okay? Every 2 weeks, regardless, okay? Because if you're going to try to time the market, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So just pick a day every Friday, every Friday, 2 weeks, bi-weekly, we're going to put in a certain amount of money and we're going to forget about it, okay? And so then you'll kind of see it plays out. But if you're going to try to time the market, you can absolutely put in the $1,200 at once. You can, absolutely. Why not? Okay. It's a matter of like put it in every 2 weeks and not having that up and down kind of struggle. Okay. Because we don't know if it's going to go back up or go back down. We don't know. Right. So just put it in every 2 weeks. So yeah, absolutely. Put in 1,200 and at once. Okay. Yeah, for somebody, okay. Yeah, honestly, a lot of these questions are super personal to you. And in order for me to give you even an answer, like what is your advice for someone in his late 50s who wants to invest? Well, it's personal to you, right? I need a review, just because I need to know what your goals are and what your objective is. Do you want growth? Do you want capital preservation? Are you okay with risk? Do you not like risk? There's so many different questions. Okay, so the rule of 72. This is not my rule. It's not my company's rule. It's Einstein's rule of compound interest. Okay, so let's see how this works. Basically, all it is if we take the rate of return and we divide it by 72, right? That is going to give us the number of years that it's going to take for our money to double. Okay, this is the rule of compound interest. How does compound interest work? Okay, it works like this. And if you understand, if you can take one thing away from my talk today, it's this rule. This rule. A lot of people don't understand the difference between a 1% rate of return, 2%. Yeah, I know it's bigger, but how much bigger? Okay, so let's try it out. Okay, so let's say this next, okay, let me just go to the next page. Okay, So let's say we're gonna go bank and we're like, hey, Mr. Banker, I got some money I'd like to invest, right? And the banker is going to be like, great, we're going to give you a really high interest rate of 1, right? And here's the thing, we don't know any better. Majority of people don't know any better. A lot of people go to the bank for their excuse me, go to the bank. I need water. A lot of people go to the bank for their financial education. However, it is not the bank's job to teach us. It is not their job. And so let's say we take this 1% and we put it into our equation. Okay, that means our money will start doubling every 72 years if we take 1%. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have many 72-year doubling periods in my lifetime. I don't have that, right? um but a lot of people don't understand that. Okay, but here's the thing, we all have credit cards, don't we? What is the interest rate? 18, 19, sometimes 21%. Yeah. Okay, well, here's the thing, let's put it into our equation. If we have a credit that had a balance, let's say that credit card had percent interest and that credit card had a balance, okay, that balance will start doubling every 4 years. So how do we get ahead like that if our money doubles every 72 years, but our debt doubles every 4? How do we get ahead like that? We can't. Not in this method. We cannot. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're getting a better rate of return. Okay. And I'm kind of going to give you guys an example. This next example is, what is the difference between a 2% rate of return and a 7? What's the difference? Okay. Well, it's gigantic. Okay. Let's say we're going to start with nothing, $0. Zero. Okay. And let's say we're going to invest for 12. That's pretty average, right? We're going to invest for 20 years, zero starting, but we're going to put in $150 twice a week, semi-monthly. That's 24 times a year. Okay? So on the left side, let's say we're investing for 20 years and we're putting in $150 semi. Okay, our rate of return is we're going to use is 2%. Okay, I just want to show you the difference between 2 and 7. Okay, 2% rate of return. Over this time, we would have put in $72,000. The interest at 2%, we would have accumulated 16,000, which would give us a total of 80. That's not very exciting at all. But let's say we got a slightly different rate of return. Like I said, people know 7 is 2, but how much bigger? Okay. Well, let's take a look at this. Same example, 20 years, $150 semi-monthly, and we're gonna get a 7% rate of return. Again, we're gonna have put in that $72,000, same thing, right? But look at the difference with the interest. 7% would have $80,000. Yeah, versus the 16 with 2. Yeah, and we would end off with a total of over $150,000. For those people that have 20 years to invest, take a look at that. That's the difference. But let's say we're like 20, 30 years old, we got 40 years to invest. Right? The rule of compound interest, the longer the time horizon, the more money would be accumulated. So let's take a look at 40 years. It's best to start young. When you're young, you got money, you got money on your side. You got time on your side. So again, this time instead of 20, we're going to do 40 years. And again, start with anything, $0. And we're going to put in the same 150 2 times a month, 24 times a year. Okay. Again, we would put in this one, we're going to do 2% return. Okay. So we would have put in throughout that 40 years at $150 twice a week. We would have put in over that 40-year period $104,000. Okay, we would have accumulated $75,000 of interest, okay, at a 2% rate of return. But then that total would be 200,000, over 200,000. But what's the difference between 2 and 7? Take a look. Over 40 years at zero. We're going to start at $0. Put in $150 twice a month at 7%. How does that look like? Again, we're going to put in the $144,000, the same thing. Okay. But this time, take a look at the interest that have been accumulated. $600,000. That would give a total of almost $750,000. So that's a little bit more exciting. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited. Okay. And let's say, obviously, we're not going to put in that whole $150 twice a week. Twice a month forever. We're going to make more money, right? Obviously, this 750 is just a figure if we kept doing the same thing. So that's just a little bit of a difference, a little bit of excitement. I just wanted to show you the difference between 2 and 7. Okay, because there's a gigantic difference, but people just kind of need a visual to understand. Okay. And you know what? The best time to start saving is right now. It's not tomorrow, it's not next month, it's not next year. It's okay, because what a lot of people, we've all heard of taxation, but there's also something called procrastination. Okay, so this chart kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what people kind of say, right? Especially when it comes to investing. And at age 25, they're like, we're just getting started, we'll save more when we're making more. And next thing we know, we're 40 years old, we got the house payments, we got the car payments, we got the kids, and we just don't have anything left to save. And next thing we know, we're 50 years old. And, as soon as the kids are out of school, as soon as the kids are out of the house, then we'll save for retirement. And next thing we know, we're 60 years old and our expenses are so high. And now it's time for retirement. Nothing. We got nothing. So the best time to start saving is right now, not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Okay. Because the longer the time horizon, the better for you. Okay, so and lastly, I just want to say that money is a mindset. Money is a complete mindset. We attract money. Okay, so changing our with money is very important. And a really good book that I would love to recommend to you guys is Bob Proctor's You Were Born Rich. Okay, he talks a lot about it, about money and our feelings towards it. And a few of the examples that I shared with you guys today are actually in this book. So please go ahead and pick it up. It is also on audio. So if you guys did want that, it's available to you as well. It's like 7 hours. I've listened to it multiple times. I absolutely love this book. And then thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. And to be honest, I would like to acknowledge you. You guys are being proactive about your financial situation, about your growth, about your knowledge. And a lot of people better, but they don't go and do better. You guys are here. You guys are taking the time to sit down and take a look and, educate yourselves. And that's amazing. And I want to acknowledge you. Pat yourself on the back, your back or shoulder, whichever you want. But thank you. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope I provided some value for you guys. But yeah, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mouhja. So her Instagram, is there. Please feel free to follow her. Yes, please feel free to follow her. I don't know if they can pop in your DMs to ask you any questions, but just follow her.
Yeah, if you guys would like to ask me any questions, my DMs are absolutely open. I will go out of my way I answer all of your questions. But yeah, please reach out to me. I love people. I will welcome you with open arms.
Thank you so much. And if there's any question, we're going to make this video available. We're going to make our slides available. If there's any question you want to ask, maybe for whatever reason you don't want to reach out to her directly, you can send it to us at support@investbamboo.com and we will get you the answers that you want. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, so we have just 1 minute more. So I guess we finished on time. Have a lovely evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much, Mouhja, for doing this. I know it's like the beginning of the day where you are. And it's kind of the end of the day for us here. So thank you. Have a lovely weekend, everyone.
Yeah, bye. I also put my Instagram on the chat if you guys So you guys can, copy paste that into Instagram.
Exactly.
So yeah, thank you for having me.
Exactly.
I love this. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.